3.3 guided practice. The objective of 3.3 guided practice is to reason with the properties of algebra. So, you know this already. Much of this section is a review. You've seen the properties of equality before in Algebra 1 and even before that. But we give them very specific names here, so it's worth repeating. The addition property of equality means that if we have two numbers that are equal to each other, and we have an equation, let's say a equals b, and we add an equal quantity to each side of the equation, let's call that equal quantity c. So we add c to the left side and we add c to the right side, then we end up going from a equals b to a plus c equals b plus c. Very basic. That's the addition property of equality, or APOE. The subtraction property of equality is the inverse operation of that. If we started out with a equaling b, but then we subtracted c from both sides, we would still have an equality. In this case, a minus c equals b minus c. I hope that those are very easy to see. A multiplication property of equality is that if you, again, start with an equality where two different numbers, well, two different variables at least equal each other, a equals b, then if you multiply each side of the equation by the same number, again, we're going to use c as the example, then a times c equals b times c. And the division property of equality, or DPOE, starts from a equaling b, and then says that if you divide both sides of the equation by the same number, you end up with an equality. A divided by c equals b divided by c. These should all be very, very familiar to you. You've used them many times when you've solved equations, and you've gotten very good at solving equations using these. These next properties you may or may not have heard of. They seem even more basic than the first four. This reflexive property's got to be the most basic of all. For any real number, a equals a. The number equals itself. 2 equals 2. 3/4 equals 3/4. -4 equals -4. Whatever number you plug in, it always equals itself. Very basic, but we do need to use it sometime. Symmetric property. If a equals b, then b equals a. So that if you have an equal sign, it doesn't matter which of the sides comes first. The transitive property states that if you have two quantities equal to each other, a and b, and then the second quantity on the right side of the first equation is on the left side of an equation equal to a third quantity c, so that a is equal to b and b is equal to c, then the first and the third are equal to each other as well. A is equal to c. And that kind of just makes sense because b is equal to a, in this case, by the symmetric property, and b is also equal to c. And b is equal to itself by b equals b, and therefore a equals c. And one that we use all the time is the substitution property. If a equals b, then a can be substituted for b in any equation. So we can choose, if we have a equals b, we could substitute b for a, or we could substitute a for b. And now we're going to see these being used in some of the examples below.